Courtney, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much, of course, for being with us. Who's likely all impacted with the opening of the tax season? Who are the ones that are liable to consider whether they need to make a submission of returns and file their taxes?
Yeah, so this is generally the greater South African public. Most South Africans are going to be required to submit and file to SARS. You have mentioned your auto assessment. So sometimes a South African will be auto assessed. It is something that every South African can check as well. So with that, once they auto assess, it's just important to remember that South Africans will check that information to their supporting documentation.
Okay, and are there different categories? I mean, for instance, I was auto assessed. I received the notification on Sunday already of having been auto assessed, and my returns, of course, having been calculated and everything. But usually, as I would understand it, that if for instance you have medical aid, a retirement annuity, those sorts of products, I suppose that you have, then aside for independent contract work and those that need to make declarations and so on, that those, because I find it quite astonishing that a lot of South Africans that perhaps do have a retirement annuity or do have a medical aid aren't quite filing for returns for which they can get money back.
Yeah, that kind of thing as well, where you are contributing to a retirement annuity or a medical aid, that information should be on the SARS system. So where you are contributing, it's just important to check that that is reflecting as well. And in those instances where you do have those deductions, depending on how much you're contributing with your employer, you may be in a good position to claim a tax refund, but it really just depends on what your income looks like.
In terms of the auto assessments, of course, we set with the period by which it will be done. What is your recommendation for those that may not have been auto assessed yet? Should they wait a week or two to see through the period? Because as SARS had mentioned, they will be doing the auto assessments in patches. Um, or is the recommendation to now already make those submissions?
So we don't really recommend doing it now. I would let the auto assessment period run, right? Once that period's run, we do recommend taxpayers start that submission on the 21st of July. So that's the official start date for tax season. And then that should run until 20th of October 2025.
Those that are likely to make submissions, of course. Is the recommendation to go into a SARS branch, or should everybody try and get registered on e-filing? Those at least that aren't at the moment.
Yeah, so, it really just depends on the best convenient thing for each individual. Some individuals prefer going into a branch, which is perfectly okay, but where you can actually register for e-filing and do that, it is recommended, and essentially everything should be on there for you to file as per normal.
Yeah, and I found that making an appointment, because I struggle, for instance, to get registered on e-filing. For some reason, there's a new way to register with biometrics. So you have to, capture your
Yeah.
face and so on. And for some reason, I don't know, my face was too fat or something, and it didn't want to work. And made an appointment, which turned out quite fine. It takes a while to get the actual appointment, about normally a week or two when the first available date would be there. I suspect now it will be a little bit longer because of the volume that of people that are seeking to, of course, file their returns. And then you make your appointment, you go there, and it's generally very efficient, and somebody will be able to help you, and that for me at least was a very great experience. In terms of what I've already also been receiving, and I'm just using myself as a bit of an experience and a yardstick, is that already I've been getting SMSs and emails, claiming that I need to pay SARS, this, that, and the other penalties, etc. When, after having sought advice about those emails and SMSs that I'm receiving, I've been told, nah, that's a scam. It is not entirely correct. So, how vigilant and circumspect do you suspect, or do you suppose, taxpayers would have to be during this period?
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where there are regular scams, and we as a company as well try to alert taxpayers to that where we have picked up the scams. But obviously, we must just remember that when it is official SARS correspondence, it's going to come from a no reply email. And usually, they're not going to give you too much information. You would usually have to go on your e filing profile. So, where individuals are registered for e filing, it is recommended to double check that information on their profile to see if they are in a position where they owe. Um, that's obviously the best indicator that you're going to get whether you owe to SARS or not.
Yeah. All right, let's see how the auto assessment period first goes, and if you don't get auto assist, as is the recommendation of Courtney, then then perhaps consider your e-filing or talk to your tax consultant to be able to file the returns, and let's hope you get something back, and there aren't penalties and things involved there. Courtney, thank you for your time. Courtney Cox from Tax Consulting South Africa. She's a consultant talking to us there this morning about tax season officially having opened on Monday this week. And let me know what your experience has been. I just I feel like I want to shout this. I want to stand on Table Mountain and shout to everybody that has a retirement annuity, for instance, or has medical aid. And if you haven't been filing any sorts of returns, you maybe should consider doing that because you can actually get some money back. Try and consider doing that. I'm certain the extra little bit of cash will help with, depending on how much it is, will help with some things. So if you have a medical aid, if you have a retirement annuity, those are the sorts of things that can earn you some money back. But also, depending on your line of work and, whether you need to pay the tax man, that's a completely different stream of things. And my recommendation is just to talk to a tax consultant or make an appointment to go and see SARS. Please do get your affairs in order.